one of the biggest mistakes Vince McMahon has made in his entire career. After struggling in the mid-card for most of his run with the company, Cody Rhodes went on to become one of the biggest names in the independent scene. Alongside the Young Bucks, he took independent wrestling to a whole new level with the success of the All-In event in September of last year. It showed that in his time away from WWE, not only did Cody hone his craft as a pro wrestler, but he learned enough about putting on a wrestling event to consider starting his own wrestling promotion. AEW has been picking up steam for a few months now and has made a few high-profile signings on the road to the Double or Nothing event. The most notable signing has been Chris Jericho, who had been a WWE mainstay for decades before showing up in New Japan Pro Wrestling and eventually finding his way to AEW. The pro wrestling world is buzzing with all the possibilities AEW has to offer. The promotion has been rumored to have the potential to change the landscape of pro wrestling as a whole, so obviously there's a lot resting on the shoulders of this young promotion. The question remains whether it can live up to these expectations, so let's check out 5 reasons why AEW could be a failure and 5 reasons it won't. So far, AEW has been creating interest in its product by holding rallies that are gradually building the Double or Nothing card, while announcing new signings in the process. As of now, AEW's roster consists of less than 30 wrestlers. Out of these 30, 3/4 are men, with very few female signings. The Young Bucks are still the biggest name in their tag team division, with only the men's division packed to the rafters so far. While AEW definitely has more than enough wrestlers to put up a stacked show for Double or Nothing, the company has the potential to struggle in the long run. A couple of high-profile injuries will leave AEW bare, and that is not something a fledgling promotion can afford. The women's and tag team divisions are practically non-existent in the promotion right now, and even if AEW decides to go ahead and raid the indies, there are still only so many signings that can make it in a short amount of time. AEW faces a challenge of giving its roster depth, and also has got the challenge of creating new stars to support the already existing stars. If AEW doesn't deepen its roster, over time, the company will run the risk of becoming boring, with the same wrestler showing up week in and week out, doing the same thing over and over, as the company sinks into nothingness. If what Chris Jericho is said to be believed, then AEW has the financial clout to offer packages comparable to that of the WWE. The promotion is backed by Jacksonville Jaguars co-owner Tony Khan, so it is obvious that money is not in short supply at AEW. Khan obviously believes in the vision Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks have, or else he would not have made a multi-million-dollar investment in the company. With enough financial backing, Rhodes and the Young Bucks have the necessary ammunition they need to go after the world's finest wrestlers and put on shows that are practically unimaginable on the independent scene. Just having money isn't enough. It needs to be spent well, or it can turn out to be completely pointless. But with a proven businessman in the form of Khan, and with the tactical mindset of Cody, AEW could be here to stay. AEW is not the first promotion to come up that has been rumored to rival WWE. WCW came the closest to toppling Vince's company, but WWE was the winner of the Monday Night Wars. When TNA was first announced, it seemed like WWE had another fight on its hands. With millionaire backers, it really seemed like fans of pro wrestling might be in for another version of the Monday Night Wars. But that wasn't what happened. Sure, TNA had its time in the spotlight, but ultimately poor financial planning resulted in the promotion falling from grace and ending up just like a WWE wannabe. And despite numerous upheavals, it was never really on par with the WWE. Much like TNA, AEW also runs the risk of turning into another WWE clone. It has the financial backing and a few big names to grab eyeballs, but a lot depends on how AEW goes about differentiating itself from WWE. If it doesn't do it enough, it could end up going down the same route as TNA, and no one wants that. With Cody working as a producer for the promotion and the Young Bucks in charge of booking, AEW's programming is in safe hands. WWE has come under a lot of fire for its inconsistent booking, repetitive storylines, and inability to create new stars. WWE Creative seems to be a complicated machine, which at times gets caught up in its own errors and ends up turning out unadulterated garbage for the universe. AEW has obviously learned from WWE's mistakes and has taken a page out of the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Handbook by not having writers and giving wrestlers the freedom to craft their own stories. That will obviously result in better storylines, better characters, and an overall better product. With every announcement AEW makes, expectations from the promotion rise further into the stratosphere. A lot of people will probably feel that the successes or failures of Double or Nothing will dictate how all of AEW turns out. There's a lot riding on that show, and on Cody and Young Bucks' shoulders. People expect AEW to be the second coming of pro wrestling, and if the promotion cannot live up to the expectations, the company could be its own reckoning by getting audiences too excited for their product. Omega is one of the greatest pro wrestlers to have never set foot in a WWE ring. When he announced that he would be leaving New Japan after an extended stay with the promotion, the rumor mill went crazy with speculations about his future. People began theorizing about his first feud should he join WWE, while others wondered whether Omega would shun WWE once more and join AEW. Those people were right, as the promotion announced that the cleaner would be joining the AEW roster. Omega's efforts in the ring led a soaring rise in popularity for New Japan. He is undoubtedly a once-in-a-generation talent, as he brought so many eyes to New Japan. Those fans will now follow him to AEW, where he will do what he does best: break Dave Meltzer's rating system. There are always a lot of variables when starting any business, but pro wrestling is especially unforgiving. AEW has done a lot right so far, but there is so much more that can go wrong. Money can get mismanaged, deals can fall through, and the promotion could end up choosing the wrong network for a TV deal. The Young Bucks could completely misread audience expectations and create shows that are largely derided. And the list goes on and on. Even with the backing of Tony Khan, money at the end of the day doesn't mean much if it isn't handled properly. Even though the promotion has made some great signings and has mainstream pedigree on its roster, there is too much that can go wrong, eventually condemning AEW to failure even before it gets going. Cody and the Bucks are a proven commodity when it comes to putting on a wrestling show. All In was a resounding success and proved that there is a massive audience for independent wrestling. According to reports, tickets for All In sold out in half an hour. The show also did not disappoint. It was expertly paced, well booked, and it was surprising because this was their first effort at putting on a show. If the Elite can translate that blueprint onto a much larger scale for All Elite Wrestling, then there is nothing for AEW to worry about. The success of All In is probably what tipped the scale in AEW's favor, because without it, it is highly unlikely that Tony Khan would have invested millions into the promotion. Every promotion has an ultimate aim from the beginning. AEW's aim remains unclear to this day. When the promotion was first announced, wrestling pundits began debating whether promotions like ROH and New Japan should be worried about the arrival of AEW. Over time, as more announcements about the promotion were made, the narrative changed as AEW became positioned as the next wrestling promotion to challenge Vince's company. It is unclear whether AEW wants to become the biggest name there is on the independent scene or develop enough momentum to challenge the relative monopoly WWE has established. Until a TV deal is struck, the promotion is going to be like any other indie company, with distant hopes of challenging WWE, but with a TV deal, well, that would make things a whole lot more interesting. AEW's fantastic financial backing has resulted in them being able to offer wrestling packages that rival that of WWE. In addition, AEW has also stated that wrestlers will be given necessary health benefits in addition to their salary.